This podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
The hearts of all must be touched so deeply that they are awakened to the true power that lies within, so that they, maybe for the first time, see clearly for the first time and truly know which way to go. If you were to play hide and seek, would you not try to hide in the last place that the seeker would look? Your true power has been hidden in this very place, the last place the seeker would look. Would it then really come as a surprise that the strongest, most powerful part of you is also the softest and the most loving? The heart, your true power, a magnificent source that has the key to manifestation, peace, contentment, and the power to change the world lies in your heart. Valeria Teles interviews Joanne Anton, the author of Cut the Crap, Heal Your Life, Live in the Present, Create the Future You Desire. Joanne Anton is a transformational expert, founder of CTC, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail, the International Institute of Combined Therapy Cocktail, a body language specialist, coach, mentor, speaker, trainer, and author of 3 books, with the latest being an international bestseller. As a highly sought-after speaker in the field of personal growth, consciousness, and evolved leadership, Joanne has been helping people reach their dreams and live their best possible lives for almost 25 years. Joanne offers in-depth personal transformation to her clients, helping them to break free of whatever issues are holding them back. During this transformation, she helps teach, empower, and inspire clients to be the best they can be, bringing a highly intuitive and in-depth spiritual perspective into everything she does. Joanne is responsible for helping thousands of people transform their lives in extraordinary ways. Joanne brings her highly intuitive abilities and an in-depth spiritual perspective into everything she does. She is available for personal sessions of CTC, CTC trainings, coaching, workshops, seminars, speaking engagements, body language coaching, and more. Meet Joanne at joanneanton.com. Here is the interview with Joanne Anton.
In your own words, who is Joanne Anton?
Who is Joanne Anton? Well, first and foremost, I am a mother, a grandmother of 2 amazing, amazing children. And I am so honored and blessed to be living during this time, a time of incredible transformation, and thrilled to be living my purpose and passion. I have always felt very different since a child. I've had a lot of experiences with spirit from a very, very young age. And whilst I did everything I could to avoid it as a young child, once I finally accepted it in my late teens, my whole life changed, and it changed the trajectory of my life and put me on this path where I'm able to very easily help people facilitate transformation and live a life of purpose and passion. So I'm thrilled to be here and thrilled to be doing that.
So what is your idea of spirituality, and what is the spirit?
Okay, so we're not talking about spirit as in seeing spirit, but spirit and spirituality. Yeah. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, I think it's the basis of our existence because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And sadly, I think many people aren't aware of that. So they get so caught up in the human experience without realizing that that's really not who we are. It's just a part of our experience. And we really need to flip things on our head and remember that we are spiritual beings and there is so much more to us than the human mind realizes. There is no beginning or end. We are connected to everything. We are, life experiencing itself. We know that we are love, but we are here to experience love. We know that we are spirit, but we are here to have the human experience. And what's really beautiful for me is, I know there is no separation. I know you understand that. Yeah. But every thought, every feeling, every action that we have contributes to the whole. Energy is not created or destroyed. It's just transformed. And every moment we get to contribute. And as spiritual beings, if we remember that, it changes everything about how we proceed with life. It changes everything about every interaction we have. It's incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And speaking of incredible things, how would you describe a miracle? Do you believe in miracles, and what would that be?
Do I believe in miracles? Absolutely. I am blessed to witness miracles every single day with the work that I do. And a miracle is literally a change in perception. Now, the moment there's a change in perception, everything changes within our own worlds, within our own bodies, and collectively, everything changes because of our energetic contribution. So I witness physical miracles every day. I witness a change in thought or perception that changes the way in which somebody lives. So, and that is like many times every day. So, yes, I believe in miracles and I'm blessed to witness them.
When I think about miracles or miracle, it always comes to me that we are a miracle, aren't we, Joanne? To be in a human body speaking now, it's incredible.
It is. It is. We're a spiritual being in a biodegradable bodysuit.
Yeah, that sounds like almost the impossible, right? Happening right now. Yeah.
Yes.
Do you believe in the ultimate purpose, that there is a ultimate purpose to the human experience? And another question is, have we chosen to be here and go through all the challenges that we have faced?
Yes and yes. Okay, yes, I do believe that we have chosen to be here, and there's a little analogy that I use in my trainings where we decide as a spirit to have another life experience, and it's I do believe in the soul contracts, that we have come here with a series of things that we are to experience. And where free will and choice comes in is how we perceive those once we are here in human form, having the human experience, how we perceive them, how much power we lose to them, how long we stay stuck in those situations, whether or not we choose to learn from those situations, how we move from one situation to the next. I believe that aspect is the humanness of us, the free will and choice aspect.
Right.
But absolutely, our soul, our spirit chose to be here and have certain life experiences. We chose our families too. A lot of people don't like hearing that.
I love the way you talk about choice. Yeah, it's refreshing that it comes from that shift in perspective, or the perspectives we have about life. So that in a way, it's not a choice, it's a realization perhaps. It's that opening to a more broad and expansive way of seeing life, it sounds to me.
Yeah, it helps you to remember how truly powerful you are, that no matter what the circumstances, no matter where you're at, that there is always another way that you can see things, and you can choose to see things in a way that serve you rather than harm you and have you feeling constricted and trapped. There is always another way. And if we remember that, it changes everything about our existence. It changes not only how we see the world, it changes our experience in our world, it changes us physically as well, because if we constantly have toxic a toxic perception and toxic thoughts and what have you, then we're affecting ourselves, in this physical vessel. And that affects our health. And we're not here to suffer and be trapped. Like, we're here to, even if you're in a body that doesn't function correctly, when you change your perception, you change everything, and you can be at peace and have that freedom you desire, no matter what your body is doing.
So in a way, you're describing what freedom is, liberation, and true power, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. My message has always been to remind people and to bring people back to that, knowing that they truly are the power in their world, that we can heal, that a change of perception does change everything, and that we just need to remember that we are and can be masters of our vehicle rather than passive passengers.
What is intuition, and how do we learn to cultivate that, in a sense that we are able to discern between the logical thinking or the mind's activities and intuition? How do we do that?
Okay, so first and foremost, everybody is intuitive. The problem is, again, that people have forgotten that we have been trained and programmed over millennia to, think it's about, use your head, use your head.
True.
We're being groomed for that. Whereas we've forgotten to come back into our heart center, into our divine center, and listen to the whispers of our heart. And I'm always saying to my students, there isn't anyone on the planet that is any better than anybody else. There are people that are more practiced at what they do. That's it. And so it's about the practice and mastering the art of head and heart alignment. So, dropping into your heart center, and one of the easiest ways to do that is to place a hand or a couple of fingers on your heart center and ask the questions. And to start with, if you're just working on building your intuition and building that remembering, what you would do is you would ask yes, no type questions, like, is this right for me, as an example. And what happens is, by placing your fingers on your heart center, you're dropping your awareness out of your mind and into the heart center, and making the whispers of your heart louder and clearer than the BS in your head. The noise in our head, the ego that tries to take over and says, no, you're not good enough, you can't do that, don't be silly. It's that go into the heart center that says, you have the power within you, you can do this, go for it.
Oh my God, I love that. Yeah. And that is the alignment, right, Joanne? It's not really giving up the logical thinking, but kind of merging them and creating balance, isn't it?
Absolutely. Well, you've got to, it's about mastering the art of following your divine guidance, following the whispers of your heart, but taking your head with you.
Yeah, right. That's a beautiful way of saying it. Very direct.
Yes.
And clear.
Yes, I'm known for being very direct and keeping everything very simple.
Let me ask you this one. What is healing, and what are some of the misconceptions we have about healing?
Again, I think healing, this would sort of fall very much with the definition of the miracle. A change in perception has the capacity to change us neurochemically, because when we change our mind, when we free ourselves of the emotional issues that we have been storing for a very long time, when we free ourselves of subconscious programs that are limiting, self-defeating, sabotaging, when we free ourselves of all those, we literally change ourselves neurochemically, biochemically. We change what we radiate, therefore we change what we attract. So we're changing ourselves physically as well as our very world by simply working on our programs and emotional issues. So that's the basis, I believe, for healing. And then obviously we have the physical effects and the effects in our world by making those changes. We're unconscious, like we're literally running on subconscious programs 95% of the day. And, if you're awake for 16 hours, it's about 48 minutes that you are conscious. And the rest of the time you're running on programs. And when I explain that to my students, it's like, you might spend 10 minutes working on affirmations. You might think you're doing all the right things, but we are still unconscious for such a big chunk of the day. And we really need to work on becoming more conscious and also understanding what are our subconscious programs, what are the things that we are fobbing off as just our personality. And we're saying, well, it's just who I am. It's not who I am, it's my program. And the more we understand that and take that deep dive, the more we realize that we've been running on a set of limiting programs that are stopping us from living the greatest version of ourselves. And all of us, it doesn't matter where we are, it doesn't matter how enlightened we think we are born to be more than where we are currently at.
Another question I have for you is, do you differentiate beliefs from values, or they are somehow the same?
Interesting question. I'd have to say yes, because that I do differentiate them, because when we take that dive into the subconscious programs, then, we have the values that our humanness thinks are important to us. Yet when we dive into the subconscious programs, we find a set of beliefs that are affecting the choices and the values that we think we have in our, it's interesting, I was going to say waking state, but it's not waking state, it's in our unconscious waking state.
Yeah, unconscious, right.
because are we really awake? Are we really awake to how powerful we are? Are we really aware of what's our potential? Because when you have glimpses of your potential, you then realize that a lot of your beliefs and programs aren't in alignment. When your beliefs and values that you currently have in this state are not generally in perfect alignment with the greatest version of you. Everything changes. You realize that you are more than where you are, that you are more than who you are right now. It changes everything.
What comes to me is that then we transcend beliefs and values in a way. So I don't know if it's possible to navigate this reality without beliefs and values, but from the way you speak, it sounds like it is possible to do that. Now we're just free and open to life.
Well, I don't think I'm there yet. It's I think when you have these experiences and you have the glimpses of who you are, the highest version of yourself, free of the pain of past conditioning, when you have these glimpses, you realize that so much that you thought was important isn't really important. It's just been something that has been a driver for you, and something that maybe motivates you, a big why, maybe a why, to keep you on track. But then you realize that you were on this particular path, on this particular track, just for a period of time. And we need to be flexible enough to follow our intuition, follow our guidance, and to recognize that every step I have taken up until this moment has been guiding me to this moment. But that doesn't mean it's my next moment, that my next moment is going to mean that I need to veer off a little bit.
Right. So it is this state of expansion. So living from that space, or experiencing this reality from an open space. Yes. That sounds wonderful to me.
It's almost like the navigation system in the vehicle, that says, recalibrating.
Yeah, right. It keeps doing that. Yeah,
that's right. It's like, we're heading this way now, and this is great that you've learned what you need to learn here, and you've mastered this, but now it's time to recalibrate. Because I know, like, there've been so many times throughout my life that I have said to people, "Oh my goodness, I am so living my purpose. This is my purpose. Yeah. I am so living it." And then I find myself doing something different, and it's like, "Oh my goodness, I am so living my purpose." But what's happened is all the way along the way, we've been in training for the next moment. And it's about being open to just checking in with the heart center and following the wisdoms of the heart and being guided and making sure that you're constantly in alignment with the greatest version of yourself and asking, what is my next best step? Yeah. That's all you need to know, the next best step.
My last warm-up question, it's a fun one from my perspective. What do you love most about being in a human body at this time, Joanne?
Oh, what do I love most about being in a human body? Yeah. I love so much. I think realizing that I am a spiritual being using this particular biodegradable bodysuit for this particular time in order to have human experiences and to be aware of the five senses, to have the experiences of love. And I think I mentioned this earlier, we know that we are love in our core, in the spiritual essence of ourselves. We know that we are love, but we are here to experience love by giving love. We know that we are compassion, that we are compassionate beings, but we are here in this human existence and human body to experience compassion by being compassionate. So I think that's what the human body allows us to do. We're trapped in this biodegradable bodysuit. We're paying taxes, and we're eating to live, and we're doing those things. But there's so much more that it offers us, because this is our opportunity to have the experience of the very things that we know, and to have the experience of coming back to the remembering that there really is no separation. Sadly, for a lot of people, they don't come to that experience of realizing that there's no separation. I'm often saying to my students, when you feel disconnected, you are not disconnected from source, because you can't be. It's impossible. But what happens is you're disconnected from self. So if we're disconnected from self, then a lot of our human experience is about a return to self through the experience.
What is the self? Talk to me for a moment, for those who don't know, in that I'm a little bit unclear about what the self is in general.
Okay. So the self, I'm not talking of an ego type self. The self is the spiritual self, the whole self, because we have in our human experience separated so many aspects, and it's a return to wholeness. It's a return to the very essence of who I am. It's a return to the remembering that I am not the things that I think I am. I am source, I am spirit, I am one with everything, I am godlike, I am existence itself. And that through myself being in wholeness and centered and showering light out to everything in existence and to the people and what have you is, I think, one of the greatest contributions that I could ever give, is by the return to self and remembering how light I am. And when I say light, the being of light that I am, and shining my light so bright that it touches the hearts and souls of everybody and helps to raise the collective at speed.
It's like separated wholeness, isn't it? What that is. Well, we are, here in the human body, separated wholeness, separated spirit.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's right. And to remember that deep remembering that, and you're right. The English language. We're very limited with the words that we could use.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
to describe this, but the remembering that we are always whole. Like we just like we were born worthy, have always been worthy, are worthy, will always be worthy. Right. We have always been whole. Right. But the disconnect from the self has made us feel separated.
Yeah.
And we're not. We can't be. We couldn't be, no matter how hard we tried.
What comes to mind is that when you talked about choice earlier, so it seems like we are making choice that's coming from perception or perspective. So that shift has not happened yet, which is interesting to know. How did this happen in the first place? Like this feeling of separation, which we are not separated, but do you have any idea how that started? What caused us to have that feeling of separation and then go on and live our entire lives like that?
Interesting question. I don't think I could answer that from a level of absolute understanding. It would be an opinion and would be a theory. So where did it happen? How did it happen in the beginning? I would assume it would have something to do with the journey of the life experience that, we've come here to remember who we really are. Yeah. So I would say it would be something along those lines. However, I think that if I look at what humanity and society has done for many, many years now, that it has then also been part of the program that many people will become very wealthy the more we believe that we're separate from. Yeah, which is very sad, but I think collectively, it is about us remembering and collectively returning to the self, which is beautiful.
So you wrote the book, Cut the CRAP, Hear Your Life, Live in the Present, Create the Future You Desire. Talk to me for a moment, Joanne, about the inspiration and intention of writing your book.
So that particular book is the third published book that I have. And it was interesting. It had been something that I'd been thinking about for a couple of years, but didn't really have the time to write it. And then I made the commitment to write it in January I can't recall now if it was last year or the year before. Can't remember what year we're in. Last year. And it was interesting because I had committed 1 week to writing it, which I thought was interesting that I could actually even think I could do that. And at the time we were surrounded by fires. Australia had a lot of fires going on and we had fires in our local area, but I had made the commitment, and with my car literally packed with the things that I thought were important, I sat here and house was prepared, car was packed, and I committed myself to writing. And once I started, I found that it just came through me. And as I think, when you're in alignment, that's what happens. Alignment is being in flow. And when you're in flow, things happen far more easily and smoothly. So, and my question always is, what is it that people need to hear? What is it that people need to remember? What are the stories that I share that would help people come back to the remembering of how powerful they are? So the book was written with a couple of intentions of obviously inspiring people for their own healing journeys, helping them remember how powerful they truly are, and to recognize that if one person can do it, then so can you. And also as a tool to get the CTC therapy out there, more globally recognised, and to help support all the therapists that have done the training. But writing the book itself too was also a journey for me. And that realisation that when we surrender, no matter what our external circumstances are, and I literally have bush that backs onto my backyard, and they were expecting that to go up in flames on the Saturday. So I'm literally ready to go, right? But it was just this, this is a feeling of moving beyond yourself. This is that feeling of just going, it is what it is. No matter what the external environment is doing, it is what it is. And I'm choosing to be in the moment. And who am I being in this moment? And what is my best contribution in my beingness? And the book came through.
Oh, I love those questions. I love everything about it, of course. Everything about you, everything you say, is the wisdom. It's lovely, loving, lovable, everything with love in it. It can be felt by the way you speak even, Joanne. So thank you for doing that, for being life itself, for being open to flow with wholeness.
Thank you.
You are a transformational expert, and you have created the CTC, as you mentioned briefly, the 2-hour life-transforming combined therapy cocktail. Interesting, the cocktail word too. So talk to me about this method and how it works.
Okay, so it's quite interesting because it's 25 years ago that I created a CTC, and it isn't a cocktail, as in it's not served in a tall glass with a tall straw and a little umbrella.
Yeah, that's cute.
Although I think some people would prefer that.
Right.
It's a combination of lots of different modalities that I put together to create, so hence the cocktail. So it's a combination of lots of different things to create the CTC. And it was birthed because I would have clients come to see me for various modalities that I was offering. And what I found that it wasn't giving the transformation I wanted. And I'm an Aries, and the typical Aries personality in me wants to get in there, clean up and get out, right? I want things done at speed. And I was wondering, why is it, and I love seeing my clients obviously, but why is it people are coming back and presenting some of the same issues? So I have this what if attitude. What if I mix this? What if I try this? What if I do this and it works? And so I kept questioning what if, and I'm very much into expansion. I'm into opening myself up to receiving guidance and answers. I don't need my head to go, well, this is logic. This is how we should do it. It's like, well, I'm opening myself up to all possibilities. Show me a way. And, I know there's a way, there's always a way, show me the way, which is a statement I often use. Yeah. And I would be open to this guidance coming in. And it was like, well, let's try pulling that out of this modality and let's pull this one here and let's mix, mash and reinvent. And over time, that's what I did. I pulled everything apart, mixed, mashed, reinvented everything and layered it to create the CTC. And the CTC itself is a journey. So every single process, we move from one process to the next, and each process drops you in a little bit deeper. Each process will take you into a deeper dive where ultimately by the end of the session, this is after we're clearing limiting beliefs, negative emotions, fears, phobias, emotional causes behind illnesses, anything that holds you back from being the best that you can be. So there's this constant clearing and process, and we're diving a bit deeper each time. And then I take you back in time to the moment in time your inner child took on a belief that he or she isn't good enough. And what I know, I've been doing this for many, many years, for every single person, everyone, there is a deep-seated root cause of feeling as though you're not enough. And we find that moment, and very rarely is it what people expect. I have a lot of people that come here having used their mind, thinking that they know what their issue is. But then we go back in time and we find ourselves somewhere else. And in that moment, we give that little girl or little boy everything that he needed. We heal that moment. And once that moment is healed, once your inner child has everything that they need, they grow before your very eyes, and then we integrate you. So you'll actually you'll see your inner child at the same age that you are today, having grown with all the tools and resources that they ever needed. Then we merge you together and bring you back into that feeling of absolute wholeness and healed from the very depths of your existence. It's beautiful. It's so powerful.
Wow, that sounds amazing. And that we can do that. It doesn't take a lifetime to do that, to be born again.
Yeah, 2.5 hours. And the thing is, if you're ready, and it's the one session, if you're ready, because ultimately we are our own placebo. So if you know that where you are and how you feel isn't how you want things to stay, and you're truly ready for shift and transformation, and you surrender to the process, then you get your miracle. And this is really what it's about. So for myself, I have conversations with my clients beforehand to ensure that they're ready. Like I said, ultimately you are your own placebo. And then it's my job to do the cleaning, to shatter those old neurological pathways, those old programs, to set you free. And then after the session, you're given a little bit of homework. And that's basically your opportunity to download new programs, new ways of being, and to more easily create the future that you desire. And you do that because now you are finally here in present time. You're no longer losing your power to all those stories of the past, your family's stories, the experiences, the perceptions that you've plugged into that really don't serve you. Once you're free of that, you're here in present time, and then you remember how powerful you are.
There are so many topics and amazing messages and so many things in your book that I wrote here that I won't be able to go through everything. But there's something that you say that caught my attention. You said, our body's natural state is that of peace and harmony, a healing state. Everything we participate in and everything we allow ourselves to witness affects us. As a rule, don't watch anything that you don't want to experience. I think I combined here two sections in your book that for some reason interested me. And so talk to me for a moment, Joanne, about the mirror neurons, and also how does unhealed conscious and subconscious trauma affects our self-healing mechanism. How precisely does it happen?
Okay, so the first question was around mirror neurons. whatever it is that we witness, and as you know, I haven't watched television in over 12 years, and I struggle if anybody has a movie on or something that has any violence. I do feel it intensely. And the example I give to people is for those that don't feel it, it's only because they've become desensitized. The shows and how they presented them are very different now to how they used to be. So what's happened is most of society has been drip-fed, and you're being drip-fed with more and more violence. And as you're drip-fed with more and more violence, you become desensitized to it, where they need to increase the level of violence or the level of reality of terrible scenes in order for you to get a bit of a zing from it. And this is not good for us. It's not healthy for us because of the mirror neurons. We know for a fact that our body doesn't know the difference between a real or imagined experience. And many, many studies have been done on this. You know, you can imagine that you are going for a run whilst you're sitting on the lounge. You can just imagine it, and you will be firing the exact same muscles as you would if you were going for the run. We know this ourselves. If we're having a nightmare, you wake up from a nightmare, your heart is pounding, and you know you're in a cold sweat from this nightmare because you've been chased, but you haven't left your bed. So we know that the body doesn't know the difference between a real or imagined experience, and you are not imagining the violence in the movies as an example. You are prepared to sit there and look at it. You are prepared to sit there and watch it, and people are just not realizing how damaging that is for their own bodies, because our body is responding to what is happening outside of us. So I do always say to people, like, just don't watch anything that you're not prepared to experience, because you are experiencing it, and making it okay, and also, you know, letting the world know that you want more of that because you're investing in it, you're paying for it. So it's twofold. I think if anything, we need to be sitting there. If you're going to sit and watch something that is, you know, showered with love and compassion and caring, and, you know, or something that expands us, not something that constricts us, not something that, you know, damages us so much, because it does ultimately affect our health as well. So that's mirror neurons. And it doesn't matter what it is that we're witnessing, our body experiences it. And so the next question was around healing.
Yes, this unhealed, conscious, unconscious trauma, but it also how it affects self-healing. But I see that we can actually become traumatized every day. We can add to that trauma, right, Joanne, by doing these things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the thing is, if something goes unhealed, then it's frozen in time. And if it's unhealed, we're, as humans, we're very good at pushing things aside so we can get on with our day. But what happens if it goes unhealed, there are going to be things that trigger us, and it's going to try and come to the surface. Now, it's coming to the surface in order for us to remember that there's an aspect of us that needs healing. There's an aspect of us that, you know, that we need to do some work on it. And what we'll often do as humans is it will come up, we will feel it, and we'll grab hold of it, we'll look at it, we'll feed it, we'll remember it, we'll make it even worse than it was, because we tend to, add to our stories. We'll make it even worse than it was. And now, because we've got to be at an appointment somewhere, we'll shove it back into our body, bigger than it was before, and move on with our day. But I'm often saying to my students, it came up to come out. What if that aspect came up to be set free? And we need to master the art of not looking at it, feeding it, fueling it, and what have you. We need to master the art of just, with the power of our breath, letting it come up and out. Because we can't keep trapping unhealed emotions and traumas in our body, because these will, fester and then reveal themselves as illness that you then need to focus on. Yeah, allow it to come up and out. And that's the only reason it came up. I do breathwork sessions with my students, and I'm always saying to them, just allow it, like a flowing river, like a passing cloud. Let things come up and out. Do not grab them, because if we grab them, feed them, fuel them, we're making them bigger. And this is often what a lot of people do. We will feed things, we will fuel things, and it's not until our body is riddled with some sort of disease that we then realize that we should have done this a lot sooner and released release the unhealed pains and traumas. And what I also find with traditional talk therapy, when you go there and you keep bringing your past into the present moment, then it's like, really, who is it serving? It's not serving you. They're there to be healed, not to be spoken about constantly, because you could, as you imagine, like you might be having an amazing day and you've had lunch with your girlfriends, it's been incredible, but you've got your 3 o'clock, appointment. So you head over to your traditional talk therapy appointment, and now you're rehashing the things that happened when you were 5. You're talking about it, and because of the mirror neurons, you're reliving it. So you're feeding it, you're fueling it, you're reliving it, and you walk out crying. And she says, "Great job. I look forward to seeing you the same time next week." It really hasn't helped anything. So it's about us, like, how do we heal this moment? Because bringing it into the present moment, feeding it, fueling it, and constantly talking about it does not serve us.
And I love what you say in your book. There's so many quotes written by yourself. That's very refreshing to see. You say, I'm not sure if that was a quote, but beautifully written. One of the greatest gifts you can give yourself, your loved ones, and this entire planet is your own personal growth and healing. And that reminds us to go back to everything that we know to be true. Is the inner work that will bring what we want to the external world. And it seems like common sense to know that, but it's not, because of the programs that you speak about.
Absolutely.
Let's see, we're almost at the end and I have so many other points you say. That's beautifully said too. You write, in time, we will see that our greatest challenges are our greatest teachers. And that's a tough one to see, a challenging one to see right away.
Yeah, it's a difficult one to see whilst you're in it.
Yeah.
Because whilst you're in it, you're emotionally attached. And it's the emotional attachment that blinds us.
Right.
The more we can pull ourselves away from the situation, the more we're going to see things more clearly. And I know for myself personally, the moment there's a challenge, I'll stop and I go, okay, well, bring it on. Whatever it is I need to learn from this experience, show me. I choose to learn today because I will not be in this experience tomorrow. And so I move through things very quickly now. As a teenager, that wasn't the case, but now I do. But it is that, knowing that we will come through the situation, and you'll then look back at it with new eyes. And when you look back, you realize that the strengths and the courage that you gained, the wisdoms that you gained have come not through the good times, they have come through the tough times.
We're almost at the end. I do have a few more questions for you, the ending questions. But there's a chapter in your book that I really love. What you say initially, I think in the first part of that chapter, instead of a quote, you have this, it's just beautiful. I would love for you to read that if you have in front of you. It's called The Power of Your Heart, the chapter.
I don't actually have the book in front of me.
Oh, okay. So I have that.
I'll have to rely on you to read it.
I'll read the ending part, because I do have that for the introduction. I selected that. So we'll have that as the first information really that the listeners will hear, and then your biography. Part of that says, the heart, your true power, a magnificent source that has the key to manifestation, peace, contentment, and the power to change the world lies in your heart. That's the end of that, but there's a lot more that you write about the power of the heart. And that was from the lips of angels channeled by you in 2007.
Yes. That was quite a while ago, that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
The power lies in our heart center. And honestly, like, everything I do, everything I teach is simple. We as humans overcomplicate everything. Yeah. And, if we overcomplicate our problems, then we believe that we need a complicated and huge solution in order to help us. But if we bring everything down to its simplest form, then we know simple problem, simple solution. And life is simple. It really is, but we've overcomplicated. If we truly remember that everything that we need is within us, that in the power, like within our heart lies a power that is so powerful, that is so grand, and all we need to do is to tap into it. It will change our very existence. It will change how we feel about things. It will change our life. It will change how we do things. It will change everything. And honestly, all we need to do is get in the habit of placing a hand over our heart center and just connecting, asking questions. You take a deep breath in, you ask a question, and I promise you, you will all get your answers. It's there, and you just need to learn to listen to the whispers of your heart. We would all love to have the booming voice of God or,
Right.
you know, somebody else's voice so we can differentiate. It doesn't work like that.
Right.
So
Right.
it's coming back into our divine center. Our divine center contains the guidance, the wisdoms, the knowledge, everything. Everything is in there, but we've forgotten.
So the ending questions, 2 more questions. What is another word for healing?
Another word for healing, release.
And my last question is, what are 3 things about life you wish everyone to know or to have before they lose the body?
That you had the power all along. It's all around power. So just like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz, right? She had the power all along to go home. She had those, the ruby slippers. You've had the power all along. You are the power in your world, and that your contribution matters. You are enough. You were born enough. You have always been enough. You will always be enough. And you matter. You are here because your contribution to us, to the collective, matters.
Wow. Thank you so much, Joanne, again and again and again and again, for your beautiful presence. Wow, for this, to be open, being open to this wisdom of the loving, unconditional love it flows through you. Thank you for being the messenger of truth with capital T.
Thank you so very much. Beautiful. I have loved speaking with you.
Thank you. And before we say goodbye, where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
Okay, so I am across all social media platforms. So you can just look up Joanne Anton across social media. And my website is joanneanton.com.
Wonderful. I'll have that on your podcast profile too. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joanne. Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Joanne Anton and her work, please visit joanneanton.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.